Hi, this is Caitlin,
This is Gabry.
and welcome back to AvengeGirls and Friends.
This week we are going to be talking about Iron Man 3 and Thor 2, the Dark World. Dark World? Yes.
Yeah, Dark World. I just keep
Okay.
calling it
Well,
Thor 2.
it has a subtitle and the other ones don't.
Don't,
Like
yeah.
the Iron Man ones don't have subtitles.
I think
Ooh,
the
I wonder
Iron
what
Man
they
ones,
would be.
yeah, the Iron Man ones are the only ones that don't, right?
Yeah. That'd be fun to come up with.
That
What
would
you
be
think
fun.
about that?
But okay, so I want to start out very briefly because I don't know how much more we could talk about this other than just mentioning it. But I think it's important that we see at the beginning of Iron Man 3, we see Yinsen, right?
hmm
And they don't talk
it's
about that it's him. You know what I mean? It's just kind of he's there. And I watched this with my sister, and I was like, oh, it's in Yinsen, because I was getting emotional. And she was like, what? Like she
that was
completely forgot. Yeah,
that was me the first time I saw this movie
yeah,
because the first time I saw Iron Man 3, the person I was seeing it with got really, really excited when he showed up and I was like,
yeah,
who the hell is that?
yeah,
So yeah, they don't do it anything with it. So I think unless
yeah.
you have a very strong memory,
Then
you
it's not
might
gonna.
not
Yeah,
even notice and might not register.
yeah. I don't think I realized when I first watched it either, to be honest. But I just know retrospectively because, well, we also just recently kind of watched Iron Man 1.
Yeah,
So, and
that's
Yinsen
true.
is always on my mind lately because I love him and think he affected Tony a lot, as we talked about in our Iron Man episode.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
just to see him here, but then it's almost just like a little Easter egg, which is kind of sad because I think he's a really important character. Um, but yeah, I don't know. Again, I don't know if there's anything else I could
It's
say about it
it's
other than it's
it's there for
disappointing.
people who are willing to go deep enough
Yeah.
to see it, I think.
Hashtag Easter eggs.
Yeah, I guess so.
Um, and then
hmm
we have to talk about pepper and Tony, right?
Lord, yeah.
Because I feel like we have comments on this every single Iron Man movie.
It's so
Ah!
bad. It's just bad.
I just don't
I
understand.
don't like it.
It's bad. It's bad. Like they should just break up. Okay, okay, let's just go base level. Like not even talking about what I think is more important, which is that they just don't get each other
hmm
like deeply inside. But
hmm
Pe- Tony is always getting her the wrong gifts.
hmm
He doesn't know her well enough. But I think that that's not just oh, Tony being Tony. I think it's just Tony not knowing Pepper.
Yeah,
You know what I
no,
mean?
I think you're right.
That's
Um,
not good.
I mean, while it did give us possibly one of the best lines of the movie, it's a giant bunny. Relax about it, you know. Um, it's it's it, it's a little bit embarrassing,
It
like
is. Like this is
because
supposed to be the ship. Uh
and well, not even that. Just because, like, I know you can be very smart and be bad at social interaction, but Tony's not bad at social
yeah.
interaction. He's just bad about
He's
paying
actually
attention and
yeah.
remembering.
He's actually really good with social interactions. And this just that it just doesn't make sense. Also,
No.
it's not a tasteful bunny. The arms look like boobs.
Oh
And
yeah.
it's just
I forgot you said
Tony.
that. I I would use it as a beanbag, but like other than that, mm,
No. Where are they gonna keep that? And it's just again, it's totally anti-Pepper. There's no universe in which Pepper would be like, oh yes, I got this giant
yes.
stuffed bunny with arms that look like boobs from my BF. Perfect. It's dumb. And then,
Then
is it that, yeah,
there's the fact that he sent like a suit up to
without him
like
in it.
without him in it, which on
Oh,
the one hand, oh my god, that's so terrible. On the other hand, it is really funny.
it's
Um,
funny, yeah. But
but
also bad.
it's so bad. It's so bad.
Because
Um,
this seems to be the ship that is the ship. Throughout the MCU, they've been together the longest. They're still together in Infinity War.
are
No
they
other
really?
couple. Yeah,
Oh,
you
that
remember
didn't
they're
even
gonna get
register with me to
married.
be perfectly honest, because I just don't care that
Thank you.
much.
Yeah, agreed. Sorry,
Like,
everyone. I guess I'm not actually sorry at all because I don't care about
we're not
pepperoni.
sorry.
No, it's just And then, as if all that wasn't enough,
Yeah.
they also just like Pepper does not understand.
Oh yeah, it goes both
Yeah.
ways.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
She doesn't understand Tony as well because I think it is important that I think you mentioned this in your notes as well. Tony says that the suits are a part of him, right?
Yeah.
And Pepper says that they're a distraction, but they're
Like
not. I don't like
I
maybe in
mean,
this movie.
maybe they can both be true. He can be
True.
using working on them as a distraction, which he clearly is, but they are also very much a part of
Part of
who
him.
he is now.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's necessarily fair of her to say that.
Yeah, agreed.
I mean, I was just wondering how much was like, the writing of it, like
Mm.
stereotypical annoying woman,
Yep,
you
nagging.
know, nag. And how much is it just like Pepper has never been in a situation like Tony. She is literally incapable of comprehending that they would mean that
Yeah.
to him because she has never been in a position where she would have to like rely on them like that.
And I also just wonder, and that what you just said makes me wonder, like, so Tony has been in these terrible situations, specifically regarding New York. He put that bomb up through the wormhole, just
Mm-hmm.
barely survived. He almost died up there.
Right.
Um, and he's having nightmares about it. And I mean, Pepper, it seems obvious, at least at first, that she doesn't realize that he's having nightmares, right?
Yeah.
Um, but it's just so frustrating to me that like he was able to hide it from her for that long, and that she didn't even consider like, hey, Tony, like, are you okay?
That's a
You know what I
really
mean?
traumatic thing to happen. I'm going to
Yeah,
check up on my boyfriend who I apparently
exactly.
theoretically love very much, but
I
I
mean,
guess
maybe we're
not.
putting too much pressure on Pepper. Like Tony was obviously hiding it, but I don't know. I just
I
think
how much of it was covered by his, normal ridiculous work habits,
true,
because
very very true.
he's always spending time down in his garage or whatever, so it would
Yeah,
be easier for him to do that.
yeah,
That's true. You're
yeah.
you're right. We shouldn't put that on her. But on the other hand,
It's still frustrating.
part of me is still really like,
Yeah. I don't know. Like if I was dating someone who had gone through trauma regardless of what it was, I would be almost hyper conscious just to make sure that they're okay and that I'm making them comfortable or whatever. Maybe that's like on me, maybe that's a bad thing to do, but I don't know.
I
Like I'd
think
want to
it's
make sure that they're okay.
good.
If
I
my
think it's good to
yeah,
like make
right?
sure people are okay.
Like if
It
my
doesn't sound
boyfriend
bad.
flew through a wormhole and almost died, and then continually almost dies on a regular basis, I wouldn't get mad at him for wanting to protect himself. I'd be like, "Hey, that's a serious thing. Do you want to go to therapy?" you know?
Yeah.
Like,
And not Bruce Banner, maybe.
yeah,
Just
yeah.
throwing that out there.
Someone who's actually a therapist,
It's not in his training.
not his 7 PhDs. Come on,
God.
Bruce. I did want to mention though, that this kind of so like at the conclusion of this movie, I'm just gonna skip forward. The conclusion of this movie, you see, Tony is like kind of come to terms with like, okay, I can have this one suit and I'm gonna blow up all the other ones, so I don't
Mm-hmm.
need this protocol or whatever anymore. I'm gonna be okay, etc. And he's more at peace with himself. But then you see in Age of Ultron, he's back in the suit, right? And I think by Age of Ultron, they've broken up.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then they get back together at the end of Civil War. No, at the end of Spider-Man: Homecoming, they're broken up through Civil War. Sorry, I'm just trying to go back. But then by Infinity War, they're getting married, and Pepper still is like, "If you really wanted to start a family with me, you wouldn't have put that back in your chest." Like, dude, like, are you sure? Like, he's literally trying to protect not the world and not himself, but like you and any family that you would have, given his long, long list of experiences where he has almost died and the people he's loved has almost died.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't like Pepper and Tony. They will never understand each other.
They
And
don't
I know
make
that they're going to
sense.
end up together in the end, but I don't get it. And Marvel, I'm looking at you. You don't have to force this on anyone, but I know you're going to do it anyways. It's not
We're
cool.
we're I would say we're not mad, we're just disappointed, but we're mad. We're mad about it.
We are both mad and disappointed, which is perhaps
Mm-hmm.
the worst combination.
Yes.
Anyways, we can we can move on. I guess since we were talking about Tony and his, his trauma, we can
Mm-hmm.
talk about the portrayal of anxiety and panic attacks in this movie because I think it's done very well.
Right.
Personally.
Yeah.
There's that moment where like something just I forget exactly what it was, but something randomly triggers him in that restaurant with Rhodey. He's signing.
It's the kid. It's like
What
I
does
think
it
it's
say?
the drawing.
Yeah,
Maybe of the Avengers in New York, and then the really small kid asks, "How did you get out of the wormhole?" And then he snaps.
Yeah. And I appreciate this movie in that it doesn't like demonize panic attacks and it like portrays them in like this is a serious thing that could happen to someone who has trauma and it's important and doesn't like take away from you being a hero. I don't know if that makes sense.
I mean, it doesn't feel like it's demonizing
No.
PTSD or anything to me, or panic attacks. So
yeah.
I think it's done in a way that even if you didn't know what either of those things were, you could kind of get the grasp the correlation and see that, oh yeah, this is because of what happened in the Avengers.
He went through this very traumatic experience. And instead of like most superhero movies do, I would argue, pushing it aside and acting like it's no big deal, Tony is reacting to this, terrible thing, terrible, scary thing that he went through in a very real way. And I think that's important that they showed it or portrayed it in this way. Mm-hmm. Like there's that one part, Tony is with Harley, and he starts to have another panic attack. And I forgot in what situation it is, but Harley is like telling him clearly, like, this is what's happening. This is what you have to do. Because Tony can't think straight because he's having a panic attack. And I just, in that moment, I was like, oh yeah, like I've totally been there. Like I've definitely been in experiences where my anxiety is running so high and the solution is like completely obvious and simple. But because my anxiety is running so high, I can't see it. No, I can't see it. I can't comprehend it. I can't come up with that myself. And I have to have like you or my mom or someone else say like, why not this? Just do this. And then suddenly it's like, oh my God, yeah. And I will do that thing. So overall, like that's just another part. Like they portray it so well. And I'm very much appreciative of that. Because I think most movies would have, I don't know, twisted it in a different way. Like, oh, look at him, he's poor tortured soul, you know what I mean? But he's still capable. Yeah. And he still gets shit done.
Once it's obvious to him what he needs to do, he can go do it.
Yeah. Oh, that's the situation. That just reminded me. It's when Tony's like panicking, like, oh my God, my suit's not ready in time, I can't go save the day, whatever. And Harley's like, you're an engineer. Can't you just
make something
it yourself? And he's like, oh shit, you're right.
He's like, oh shit, you're right. I got this. Yeah, you're right. That's exactly what happens.
Yeah. So I think the crux of the movie, if I may say so, is it correlates to those panic attacks and anxiety, and that like Tony is super dependent on all these suits, right? Like he's been working nonstop. He's not sleeping apparently. He's created, 30, 40 suits. Well, not that many actually. I think what he's in on Mark 32. So he's created about like 15 more suits than Pepper is aware of, right? Mm. Not good. So he's depending on these suits because he's afraid that if he isn't prepared, something bad is going to happen. And that in comparison to like the innovation that like got him that first suit in the first place and saved his life in Iron Man 1. Like you see that innovation and drive come out in him again, but he's not making a suit. He just makes these really cool, like, like, oh, I'm going to take you guys down with a taser and then this handmade bomb. And you know what I mean?
Right.
It's so cool. And it's like, that's Tony Stark. Tony Stark is Iron Man, but he's also not just the suits, he's himself. Yeah. I could have probably stated that a lot more like eloquently, but you know what I'm getting at.
I do know what you mean. It's not just that he's I'm not gonna even bother because I'm just gonna not phrase it well.
Like he's
at
not
all.
a man in a iron suit. Well, not really iron, but you know what I mean. But
Yeah,
he is more than that suit, even though he is Iron Man. So I mean, the next thing I'm just going down my like little list of notes here.
yeah.
The next thing that I have kind of highlighted is the Mandarin twist.
Which
Um,
I love. I still love
I
it.
love it too. Apparently, a lot of fans were like upset about it.
Are we allowed to love it? Because he's like one of my favorite villains,
I think
actually.
yeah, no, Killian, do you mean
Well,
or
no, the
the man?
Mandarin.
Okay, okay, okay. I was gonna say because I fucking hate Killian, but I
Oh
love the
no, he's
Mandarin. Yeah.
terrible.
Okay. I think he's
But
so funny, the
but
Mandarin.
Trevor or whatever. Oh my God,
Yeah.
he's great.
And the part where like he lies to the bad guy's face and he's like, "Oh no, nothing happened. I handled it."
I'm like,
And he
"There we go."
pops the tab and he starts I was like, that's like a big mood, dude.
Well, and I'm not gonna lie, the first thing I thought of when he spoke in his British accent this time, I was like, all I could think about was John Mulaney imitating Mick Jagger.
Oh my god,
Yes.
me too.
No. Okay, good.
Yes. It was the same thing.
No. Oh,
Oh my
a
god.
delight.
I can't believe Mick Jagger is the Mandarin.
Oh my God.
Okay, but a little bit more serious. I think that okay, so that twist, right? I think it works, and this is going back to what we mentioned in our Iron Man episode, and specifically what Colton was talking about. Because
Right.
his critique with Iron Man, as a refresher, or if you guys haven't listened to the Iron Man episode, is that Iron Man it's racist.
Oh
It
yeah.
deals a lot with racist tropes of terrorism in the Middle East, and it's bad. Like in retrospect, I know it's a good movie overall, but in retrospect, that whole part, like it could do without that, or it could address those tropes a bit a bit better, if that makes
Hmm.
sense. But I think the Mandarin twist works because it subverts those tropes. You think once again that it's this man who's a terrorist. He's using terrorist like concepts and gameplays basically that you might find stereotypically from the Middle East, quote unquote. I'm using air quotes here. But as it happens, it's all fake. Like
Right.
it plays on the audience expectation. That's why it works so well. We actually genuinely think for a long time
That
that
he
this
is
is
who he says he
yes,
is.
exactly. Because we've been trained as an audience to recognize these plays and be like, oh hey, he's from
Yeah.
ISIS or whatever. And I wish Colton could have watched this
Yeah, I think
because
he
he
would
would have.
have
I think.
he would definitely I think he would have had something to say about
Yeah.
that.
I think he would have liked this movie a lot better than he liked Iron Man 1.
Oh yeah.
Because, again, if you haven't listened to our Iron Man 1 episode, our friend Colton tore to
He
pieces.
wrecked it.
He hated Iron Man. So I hope that he couldn't be on it today, guys. We did ask him. He he literally he messaged me on Friday and was like, "Yeah, I could totally do it. I will either call you or send you guys another clip like he did for Iron Man." And on Monday, I was like, "Hey, so like any status update on that?" And he was like, "I literally didn't sleep last night, so I won't be able to help you."
Like,
I was like,
oh.
"My dude, no."
Second of all,
Or
Colton, if you're out
PhDs.
there, take care of yourself,
Please,
please. God.
if we're looking for more connections with us and our characters, who also does not sleep? Tony Stark.
Tony. There we go.
Anyway,
All right. The one thing they have in common.
no self-preservation. That's
Nope.
that's actually not completely accurate because I feel like
No.
usually Colton is very good about taking care of himself.
Yeah, if he didn't
Unlike
do that, it was probably serious.
yeah. Anyways, Colton, we wish you could have watched this because it's good. I like this movie a lot. Moving on. Let's see. Oh, this is like just a side thing, and also possible spoilers. Definitely spoilers for Avengers 4, actually. So if you're not interested in Avengers 4 spoilers, skip like, I don't know, 5 minutes, probably not even 5 minutes, 3 minutes into the future of this episode. Go, do it now. Because I wanted to mention how the scene where Tony has all of his suits flying in.
Yes, I
He
was
has,
actually hoping you would do this next.
yeah.
Okay.
He has names for all of them, right? I didn't write
Yeah.
any of them down in my notes, but he does, and I didn't realize that until this viewing of the movie. I think this is only like the second or third time I've watched this one. But I was just thinking, like, I bet anything that he's already made Pepper a suit and named it Rescue, and he's made it specifically for the purpose of rescuing Pepper, but then she ends up using it to rescue him. That like totally makes sense.
God,
Like how they
Caitlin, I need you to be right about this. I need you to be right so bad. Oh my God.
I hope so. My fingers are crossed. I really just want to see. I mean, obviously, this is the spoiler part. We are seeing Pepper suit up because we've got those toy leaks and the art leak or whatever. But
Right.
I hope that that's why. I would like
But I
freak
need it
out.
to be like
You know?
explicit because please.
At Marvel, hire me. Anyways, and spoilers. No more Avengers 4 spoilers from here on out. We're moving on. I just wanted to mention that. Um, let's see. Oh, I guess the last thing that I don't know if there's anything you wanted to talk about. Um, but
Uh,
go
I
ahead, go.
I had like maybe one.
Okay.
Which the two quotes that get repeated. One is the quote, "We create our own demons,"
Mm,
which is at the beginning of it's the first line of the movie, and then it's towards the end because Tony repeats it.
yeah.
And I wanted to talk about that and how that could potentially play out in Endgame, maybe, or
Yeah.
if it will have any resonance that we see happening in Endgame.
I would love for it to.
I think that'd be sweet. And then him ending it with saying "I am Iron Man" is a nice bookend to the Tony
It
Stark
is.
trilogy.
Like, okay, we'll talk. Let's talk about this first, actually, because I did have a similar thought. Um, the I Am the Iron Man. This movie, like, or Tony's trilogy, I suppose, as a whole, is, in my opinion, the most independent and complete trilogy within
Mm-hmm.
the MCU. Like, it completely stands, even though it's, very much integrated into the MCU as a whole, it stands on its own and does well on its own, as opposed to Thor, which we will be talking about
And
very, very quickly.
I'm gonna argue, as much as I love him, and I'm gonna argue Captain America as well
Same. Yeah.
because with the first
Yep.
two, yes, but by the time you get to Civil War, that kind of falls apart because
It's an
it was
ensemble
basically
movie.
it's an
Yeah.
ensemble movie and it
It's
is not
basic.
focused on
Yeah.
him. So
It's basically
technically, I would
Avengers 3.
say we have a Cap duology instead.
Yes, I would agree. And even Winter Soldier, because Winter Soldier also includes Natasha and Nick Fury, it's even that one gets a little bit like it is kind of more ingrained in the MCU than like these are, for example. But
Yeah,
I mean, of course, we will talk about that one. I think
yeah,
is it
right.
next week? I think it's next week, actually, or not
I
next week,
hope.
next episode. Um. Anyways, what was I saying? Nice bookend to Tony Stark. Oh yeah. We create our own demons. That was the other quote, right?
Hmm.
I would love for that to be able to be played out more in Endgame, but I feel like the writing's just not good enough for them to remember such a great line or such a great through line through Iron Man 3. Because we create our own
Yeah.
demons. I mean, I should have used that when we were talking about the crux or the core of the film earlier. Because that's it. Like his own demons, he created those from his anxiety. His anxiety is his demon, right?
Oh yeah. Well,
Like,
yeah, his anxiety, potentially, arguably, the Iron Man suits,
yes.
Killian.
Yep. He
Um,
created all of these things.
yeah.
I mean, maybe saying creating your anxiety is a bit, what's the word? Bad. That's not the word.
I know what
But
you mean,
yeah, it's not necessarily accurate, but he takes
but I
his
think I
anxiety
understand
in
the
it.
sense.
Yes, his
I know
anxiety
what you meant.
informs the demons that he creates. Maybe that's a better way of saying it.
I think
Did you
so.
catch that? Yeah, okay. Cool. Um, and before we stop talking about Iron Man 3, I just want to say that Maya and Pepper have more sexual tension and chemistry in this movie than Pepper and Tony do. And I feel like that goes with, Pepper and a lot of the women that she interacts with. That's just my opinion. I'm just gonna put
No,
that out
because
there.
you definitely said something similar in Iron Man 2 when she was
Natasha.
interacting with Nat. So,
Yep.
like, Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
don't know why, but maybe Gwyneth Paltrow just gives off like big lesbian vibes to me. But
Guess so.
not
Anyway,
like her as a person, but her acting in this Pepper.
as Pepper, yeah.
Anyways,
My input on Maya is we're resurrecting her and putting her on our all-female Avengers team. Thank you
yes,
and good night.
thank you and good night. She's very hot, and so is Pepper. Actually, I think you mentioned this in her like Pepper. Pepper, I'm not usually attracted to Pepper because she's very like kind of stuffy.
Yeah.
I'm not it's not my thing, right? But when she's kicking ass in the end, and like how Tony's like, you should wear that sports bra on something more often. I was like, I agree. I know that's
Yeah.
very male gazy, but me too. It's a good look. She's like kicking ass.
Definitely.
Um, Also, again, before we wrap up, I keep saying this, but I did not realize, watching it this time I realized, but this entire movie is literally Tony telling the story to Bruce as
You
Bruce is
didn't.
asleep. I didn't realize that. I'm a dumbass.
How?
Because I'm a dumbass, guys.
I love you so much. Oh my God.
It hit me this time. I was like, oh my God. And it's a good, I like that. It's a good, like, framing narrative technique, even
Mm-hmm.
though it's, not obvious unless you stay to the end of the movie. But it's smart, and I like it a lot.
I really
Anyways,
enjoy it. It's so funny to
it's
me.
so funny to realize that, like, this entire movie, and Bruce wasn't even listening. Oh, poor Tony. I feel bad. I remember when I first watched that ending scene, I was like, oh my God. Like, he just poured his soul out to Bruce, and Bruce was
The
asleep.
one time he actually comes to someone
Yeah,
for
like he
help.
should have. God, yeah, he's opened up to three people. One of them is an AI, so he's not really people. He's opened to Jarvis, he is opened up to Pepper and Bruce, but Bruce was asleep the entire time.
Very proud of him.
Savage. Very proud of him. You right. Okay, do we want to do hero questions for Tony now or at the end after Words with Thor? Maybe now
Yeah, let's do them
while
now.
they're fresh in our heads.
Yeah.
So, question number one. Are they happy? Is Tony Stark happy?
No, very much
No,
not.
he's pretty miserable.
Look at
That's like
him.
the point of the movie, right?
He hasn't slept in 8 days.
72 hours, 8 days.
I don't
How
know.
long? In a week and a half. Question two, I'm sorry. Question two. What do they sacrifice?
Maybe his relationship, but we think he should sacrifice that.
Yeah, agreed.
Um,
His suits at the end, but
his
that's
suit
like
at the end.
eh,
I
eh.
think that's about it in this one.
Yeah. Yeah, he doesn't really sacrifice much else, right? I'm trying to think.
Just his sense of maybe his sense of security. If I had to
Yeah,
dig a little bit deeper, because
I
he
can see that.
throws his address out to the world, and then they all start coming in, and the house blows up and whatever.
True. Yeah, I could buy that. Okay, question three. What makes them a hero? I think Tony, what makes him a hero is that he's still able to do heroic, impressive things even without his suit. Because for
And
most of this movie, he doesn't, or most of this movie where he's in danger and it counts, he's not wearing a suit. He's just using his brain, and he's kind of, you know, he's doing things on the fly. And it's impressive, the things that he does on the fly.
and despite his own brain trying to trip him up
Yes,
and
exactly, yeah.
be against him.
He fights against his own anxiety and his own quote unquote demons and comes out on the end. In the
Mm-hmm.
end? Yeah.
Yeah, in the end.
It comes out in the end. Okay. So I would say, yeah, I mean, he's a hero. He's certainly, I mean, we ranked him pretty high up.
He's slipping a little.
He's slipping a
But
little.
it's not
because,
really his fault,
yeah,
though.
it's understandable that he's slipping a little because, and I mean, we don't actually necessarily want them that high up, I think
Oh,
is
yeah.
important to note.
Because if
So
they're that high up, they have nowhere to go.
yeah. Also, if they're that high up, they have a greater chance of dying, and we don't want that.
That's also true. No thanks.
Tony should definitely chill, and I'm glad he is kind of chilling. Okay, so Thor 2, aka Thor the Dark World, but it's Thor 2 in my mind. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Thor 2.
I have very, very minimal things to say about this. I mean,
It's okay.
so I think it's one of the first things they bring up is the Aether.
Yes.
And I was wondering, and you said before we started recording that you kind of knew something about this, but I was wondering at the beginning if it had any relation to the Infinity Stones at all.
Yes. So, when I can just get this out here, the Aether is the reality stone.
It is?
It is the reality stone.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
What?
The Aether is the reality stone, and this movie was made before they realized, I think, that they were necessarily gonna 100% go towards that.
Oh,
But
yikes.
I feel like Kevin. I'm so sorry. How do you pronounce his last name? I forget every time you tell me. Feige. I'm sorry, Mr. Kevin Feige.
For you. I'm not.
I feel like Kevin Feige was like, hey, we might do this thing, so kind of make it work, but just do what you want, right? Because that's what most of these movies should be. They should be independent from the MCU, but still be integrated. But this movie does it terribly. No offense to whoever directed this. I don't even fucking know who it was. But no offense. So it's the Reality Stone, and you don't know that it's the Reality Stone until I think Infinity War, maybe, when like Thanos like gets it from the Collector, and he does that whole thing where, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Gamora, and he pretends that Gamora killed him, but he did blah blah blah. He's not. Yeah, and that Reality Stone gives him so much power in Infinity War. Like, he does a lot with that Reality Stone. But what in this movie makes it the Reality Stone? Like Odin just outright was like, it's dark matter. Okay, so it's the Reality Stone. The Reality Stone is dark matter. Are all of the Infinity Stones dark matter? What is going on here? None of these questions get answered in the larger grand scheme of the MCU.
Yeah, and none of it's consistent at all.
No. And I think that's my main gripe with this movie is that it's, like I said before, the MC movies, the best ones are the ones that obviously are integrated into the universe as a whole, but they can stand on their own, right?
Mm-hmm.
This movie, despite having the ability to pull from this huge plethora of, mythology that the Thor comics have, right? This huge world. It's literally like an alien world that they've made, that this Asgard, and you have all these 9 realms or whatever. But they don't, and on top of things, they have the MCU, which is even, grander, but they don't make use of any of it. It's like, okay, I'm just gonna kind of run through a bunch of things that I had written down. They're just questions that I have, and we're not
go for it.
We're not going to answer any of them, but this is just to demonstrate that it's annoying, right? Okay, so what is a realm?
Mm-hmm.
What the fuck is a realm? How does this convergence work? The realms are all converging. Is a realm like just a planet? Because that's what it kind of seems like from this one and this first movie. But there's not just like 7 planets in the fucking universe, so how are they all aligning? How is that? It's not explained, right? And then later on, there's like wormholes and stuff because of the convergence. So like, why are there wormholes? Why does the convergence suddenly make wormholes? What is, like, please explain that, right? And then there's like the part where Jane is like, oh, the world's going crazy. Or actually, maybe it's not Jane who said that. Maybe it's Darcy, but like,
that sounds more like Darcy.
Yeah, the stuff. So the wormhole that they found is like spreading, Darcy says, right? So it's going to other parts of the world. And that's frustrating too, because like, okay, so what is everyone else doing? Like, where are the Avengers? We haven't gotten to them yet in the MCU, but like, what are the sorcerers fucking doing? What is anyone doing now that all this crazy stuff is happening? Like, this movie has so much to pull from, and yet doesn't explain anything.
It seems like it's too independent.
Yes, it acts like it's not even a part of the MCU, which is not what you want necessarily.
No, because it has, elements obviously that play into the later ones, but it doesn't seem to operate as if anything that happened in Avengers had any effect.
Yes,
on the world it takes place in.
Yeah, the only direct reference to Avengers we get is when, and it's a good scene, when Loki impersonates Steve, right?
Yes,
that like it's so funny, right?
I mean, my favorite part of the movie. Yeah.
it's the only reference we get because like the entire time Odin and like Frigga and everyone they're like, "Oh, you're boohoo, you're so sad that you can't be with Jane." But he literally was on Earth for a little bit and like a lot of big stuff happened and he made some new friends and you're not going to mention them at all. The only time they're mentioned is when Loki is like, "Hey, you made friends and I know you like them a lot. Do you want me
I'll
to be one of
pretend to
them?"
be Oh, that's
Yeah.
cute. Or diabolical. I haven't decided.
A bit diabolical. But like it's too independent and okay, maybe this is two separate issues. So it's too independent when it really shouldn't be. There should be some kind of reference, right? But even besides that, like science is fantasy thing that I liked so much about the first one, like Thor the movie, the first the first movie,
Yeah.
it presents science as magic in a very clear, understandable way, right?
Mm.
This one tries to do the same thing, but it doesn't explain it at all, which is the problem
Yeah, it
because
just throws it at you.
when you've already established that science is magic and that you can explain a little bit of it to the audience in an easy way, we expect that later on. Why should I just believe like, oh yeah, the convergence is gonna bring wormholes and what's a realm? I don't know, Thor 2. Why don't you explain? Why should we care
Never.
about what's happening?
Uh,
This is just a lot of me being angry about Thor 2,
I
I
think
guess.
I think legitimately though.
Yeah, like, and that's not, and we haven't even gotten to like, I don't know, like anything. Like all I've been doing is talking about like the grand plot as a whole, but nothing like, okay, so a plot, as you know, because we're both writers, it should move the characters forward throughout the story in a meaningful way and have them grow, right?
Yeah.
Do you agree?
Yeah.
Does that fucking happen in this movie?
Um I do not 100% believe so.
I would argue that it does not. Let's compare it with Iron Man 3, for example.
Okay, sure. Yeah.
Tony, right? That makes maybe things a bit clearer. Tony in that movie clearly moves, he starts at one place, the plot moves him forward, and at the end of the movie, he is a different person and a better person, I would argue, because of it, right?
Yeah. Yes.
This movie, Thor, the theoretical main character, starts the movie and he ends the movie in the same exact place.
Does he? I mean,
I
I'm
I
gonna
think so.
confess, I totally like I mentioned this to you, but it took me an hour to watch 16 minutes of this movie, so
It's a big mood.
I totally don't remember even what happened at the very beginning.
Okay. I mean, the beginning is also bad because it starts like thousands and thousands of years in the past because it's talking about Odin's
Oh,
father and if Odin is like 3,000 years old,
I don't
5,000. But anyways,
let's just say.
fuck the timeline. I'm very passionate about this because I used to love this movie and then I rewatched it and I was like, oh,
I've changed my mind.
it's actually bad. But yeah, Thor literally starts the movie moping because he can't visit Jane, which is
Yeah.
dumb because he can visit her if he wants to, and he was definitely on Earth for an extended period of time where he could have visited her. I mean, look, the whole Loki thing was happening, but he came down to Earth somehow and then left. So why can't he come back again? Like, why? It doesn't make any sense, right? And then at the end of the movie, yeah, again, I think he has not changed at all. He's just as powerful. He hasn't learned anything. Loki's the exact same. He's still, dramatic emo bitch, which is fine.
Mm.
um, I don't know. Nothing's happened. Nothing happened in this movie except for Frigga dying, which is
I was
bullshit.
literally gonna say that sucked.
Yeah, it's dumb. They fridged Frigga.
Mm.
And even that, like
To motivate Loki.
yeah, I was like, typically fridging is for the male main character, right? But instead, it motivates Loki to kind of help them, right? Which is
Right,
good because
yeah.
I guess they kind of needed that in the end. So I guess if anything, we could make an argument that this is Loki's movie, even though he doesn't even really change. He just
Possibly, no. I mean,
he
yeah.
has something happen to him, Frigga's murder, that changes him a little bit, or or makes him act. But that's it. Oh my God. Sorry guys, this entire portion of the podcast is probably it's just me.
It's bitch fest.
It's bitch fest and
we're not happy.
It probably sounds terribly unorganized to you, and it is because when I get
so is the movie.
A rage. Yeah, it's true. I was gonna say when I get in a rage, I just kind of blab. But yeah, the movie is just like this portion of the podcast, so you're welcome. Yeah, there's just I don't even know what else to talk about because I'm so upset. Maybe we should let's just ignore let's ignore the plot and how bad it is, and let's talk about the few good moments, right?
Stuff we liked. Okay.
Because there are a couple stuff things that we like, right?
Yeah, I like the memorial scene for Frigga.
Yes, I agree. It's very beautiful.
It's so beautiful. It's like a glorious it's like a Star Wars Tangled combination.
True. It's very nice.
Like
a lot of Asgard reminded me of the Star Wars prequels in a good way,
which is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like she's very Padme at her funeral. And then they send up the lights and everything, which was so tangled.
And it's like haunting. And I like the song that plays during that part, and it's played again when Loki dies as well, I believe. It's a good song, and everything is very beautiful during that time. It's very sad, but it's a beautiful kind of sad.
Yes.
There was I like we get just like one little sibling moment from them because again, as I mentioned in the Thor episode, I really like Thor and Loki's sibling relationship. It's very nice. It's well done, I think. And there's the part where they're in the like spaceship kind of thing, and Loki's like, press it gently, and Thor's like, I am pressing it gently. It's not working. That's like classic sibling banter, and I adore it.
Yes. It is so good.
Yeah. There's a part where sorry, again, I'm just stating my agenda here.
Yes.
But there's a part where, it's been implied that Sif might have feelings for Thor. I don't think it's really very well implied. It's more like Odin's like, you should marry Sif because she's here and she's a girl. And that's frustrating.
I just kind of assumed.
Ignore it. Yeah, right? It's kind of, the movie forces you to kind of imply that, right? But there's a part where Jane is finally in Asgard, and Jane and Sif make eye contact. And I know the movie was trying to be like, ooh, tension, love triangle, right? But instead I was like, ooh, tension, Jane and Sif, a concept.
I must have missed that, but
it was pretty good.
I believe in you, and I believe that it would be great.
Thank you. I think, like, imagine, like, especially, like, not that current Jane could be great with Sif, but, like, Jane if she was Thor,
Ooh, yeah.
Jane. And then with Sif, some good stuff there, man. It's good.
Yeah. Oh, we can talk about another thing I liked were your alignments that you assigned to everyone.
Thank you. I should have done all of the characters, but
we got the important ones here.
Yeah. And this was pulling off of how I think I mentioned in both Thor and the Avengers episodes that Loki is not evil. He's just emo and very dramatic. And most of the Asgardians are dramatic, right? That's just like, that's just who they are. They're just dramatic people. So I wrote down that Loki is actually chaotic dramatic, like on this fake alignment scale, D&D alignment scale I have in my head. Thor is neutral dramatic because he is very dramatic, but, he's like good about it. He's not gonna, follow the law strictly because that's what his dad does. But he's not, doing it like, he's not if he's not faking his death and then putting on a play afterwards based on said death, that's chaotic dramatic. And then Odin is lawful bitch. He is, strict, old, following this, Asgardian law, I guess. But he's a fucking bitch. He's a dick. Don't like Odin. You guys know that already based on our Thor episode. But Odin sucks. And at the end of this movie, Odin is, like, nice for once. And, like, when I first saw this movie, the Loki twist I did not see coming. In retrospect, we should have seen it coming, because this is the only time in any of the movies that Odin is, like, remotely nice.
Normal, yeah.
Yeah.
That is a good point.
It should have been obvious.
And, like, this is bad, but where did the real Odin go? Is he dead?
No, because as we will,
I can't remember.
You saw Ragnarok, right?
Yeah, I've seen it like once though.
Okay,
I totally
so
don't remember.
that's all right. That's all right. In Ragnarok, you learn that Loki like basically kidnapped him and like put him in an old folks home on Earth.
Okay. Oh my God.
Which is like, how did he do that so quickly? But because it obviously happened in this movie, if that's Loki there at the end. But whatever. I think it's funny. I also want to say about the Reality Stone at the end. Like, I know that Sif and Gimli brought it to the Collector just because they needed like a lead-in for the Guardians movie, which was going to come out the next year. But it's such a dumb decision. Like, why would you place it with such a like creepy, sketchy guy?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
You know,
I just
like,
that is the worst possible.
It's dumb.
It's almost as
God.
bad as in the beginning where they decide, I don't remember what they were burying, but they decided they were going to bury it. And I was like, that, because that has never gone badly, ever.
It's never gone well. Come on, guys.
Really foolish decision.
Yeah.
Or as our boy Nick Fury would say, a stupid ass decision. I don't know why they did that. It was silly.
We cannot ignore it, but
yeah.
Anyways, what were you going to say?
Oh, just so Loki's shape-shifting.
Yes.
Why doesn't he do that in any of the other movies?
Duh.
I mean,
good question.
Because initially I was like, okay, because he does it a lot in this one.
He does, yeah.
And I don't remember if he did it in Thor at all.
I don't think he did. I think he used a glamour, like, oh, you think I stabbed Loki, but actually, wait.
It was an illusion or whatever.
It was an illusion, yeah.
Okay.
But he's never shape-shifted outright.
He does it and maybe this falls under the glamour category as well. He does it a little bit in Avengers where he goes from his like weird suit thing to his Asgardian, garb.
Right. I would also call that maybe glamour transformation, but he's not, shape-shifting.
But it's never full on.
Yeah, it's like not a person. Yeah. One. He does it every single time in this one.
And just, why haven't they employed that at all?
I don't know.
Is it because it would be too easy for him to become, the ultimate whatever? Like,
I think maybe, I mean, they kind of use it in Ragnarok, obviously, but only because he's pretending to be Odin, so Thor has to make him change back, right?
Right.
But in regards to this movie and why he does it so much, I think it's literally just plot convenience and bad writing. Like, honestly, because they needed a way for him to survive at the end and like have that twist. So, he can shapeshift, and let's showcase it by having him transform into Chris Evans, and then at the end, he did it again. And it's a twist, like, I think it's just bad writing.
I guess I'm not saying I think it's necessarily a good thing or that I would want him to shapeshift. But in any of the other movies, I would kind of like to see if they did a better job of it, what they could do with it.
Yeah. I think maybe what you're saying as well is you'd like to see like consistency in his abilities. And also kind of speaking, kind of on the same line is like, we mentioned this, I think, in the Thor episode too, like both Loki and Frigga, they're literally like, they have magic. They can do all these really cool things. Right. But whenever they're fighting, they use a dagger, like in this movie, Frigga's like really cool and she is a badass and she uses the whole glamour thing because, Jane's not actually there. But again, like you would think that she could use her magic in a different way, a little bit better. Just like Loki, as we've I think mentioned before in Infinity War, like really he's gonna pull a dagger on Thanos. Like
he's gonna die just like that.
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense to me when you have this magic system in place. and you don't use it. Also, I guess the same can be said about like how so all these dark elves they have like literal guns and bombs, and then the Asgardians have swords that kind of shimmer a little bit.
That is a
Like,
really good
what is
point.
going on here? Like, you guys are apparently like the rulers of the seven realms, right? Or however many realms. And yet you're like, what is, I don't, it doesn't make any sense. How
Bad.
did they lose so spectacularly? It's
Because the
hum
dark elves have the
guns.
guns and they have shimmery swords.
And that
That's how.
implies that the Dark Hells had guns. I don't remember if they did in the opening montage, but that implies that they had guns the entire time, right? Because they've been like asleep. So they had guns tens of thousands of years ago? Are you kidding me? Excuse me? Okay, Marvel, you have some explaining to do here.
We're waiting for your letter. You can write to us.
You can address us, Cait and Gabry at
Yes.
AvengeGirls, please.
Yes. We would like to know.
Anyway,
we have many questions that need to be answered.
Also, just as a general comment, I had just watched the day before I watched this movie. I'd watched Halloween, the 2018 Halloween. So that movie was still fresh on my mind. And when the Dark Elves appeared, they're all wearing those like white masks, and I was like, oh my god, they're like hundreds of mini Michael Myers running around.
I was wondering what that comment was in the notes. Oh my god, I couldn't figure it out.
Like,
I don't understand.
But that like just made it them 100% more terrifying to me.
A little bit, yeah.
Not that they were terrifying to begin with, but so I injected my own horror into this movie, gave it a bit more stakes that the movie did not originally contain. It's fine. But yeah, they look like Michael Myers.
I love it. That's terrifying.
Yeah. Anyways, we're not here to talk about Halloween 2018.
We're here to decide whether or not Thor is a hero.
That's true. So, I didn't do my oh my god. What is my hero question? Do. No, that's that's like
John Cena. Is he a hero?
Oh my god. Question number 1. Are they happy? Is Thor happy in this movie? I think
he's upset.
I don't think he should not be happy, but the movie wants us to think that he's like miserable, I guess. I don't know. It's hard to talk about Thor in this movie because the movie is bad, but
he seems not that happy. I mean, you did mention at the beginning he's ostensibly really depressed because he wants to go back to Earth to see Jane, and by the end, he thinks Loki's dead.
Yeah.
And Frigga is really dead.
Yeah. So in theory, he's like kind of fucked up by the end, even though the movie doesn't accurately show us that. It's fine. Question number 2. What did they sacrifice? His mom dies. It's not a willing sacrifice. So yeah, his mom dies, his brother dies. Again, not his choice there, but it's like sacrifice nonetheless.
Okay, so what does he... Is there anything that he sacrifices willingly in this?
I'm trying to think. No.
Because I mean, after this, he and Jane have broken up.
Yeah, after this movie.
But like,
well, not after this movie. After Age of Ultron.
Oh, okay.
But
like, this is the last time she shows up, though.
Yeah.
So no, it doesn't count for this movie.
No, I would count it. Well, maybe we could count it in like Ragnarok, but also it's not his decision because apparently, according to Ragnarok, she broke up with him. So I don't know if you can even count that as a sacrifice.
No, probably not.
No, so I can't think of anything that he himself gives up. Because he comes back to Jane in the end.
Yeah.
Loki and Frigga were forcefully taken from him, kind of. I guess at the end he does give up the kinghood.
Yeah, okay.
He tells Loki or Odin, technically, like, no, I can't,
take this
I
back.
don't want it, take it, maybe one day, but right now I don't want it. I don't actually want to be king. Which makes it kind of depressing later on when he's forced to be king, when his entire planet dies, but it's fine.
None of this is fine.
Question 3. What makes them a hero? Again, it's really hard to answer these questions when the movie doesn't do anything to really grow Thor as a character. So really what makes him a hero is just that he
keeps going.
Yeah, he keeps going. Also, I guess at the very end, he does go into like that ether cloud where Malekith is. I think kind of
right.
with the intent to sacrifice himself if need be. Because he's like, well, I can. Yeah, he tells Jane like, oh, what does Jane say? Jane says, oh, like no one can like survive in there, and he's like, well, I can do it. And I think that maybe can kind of be a sacrifice, but also he defeats Malekith so easily anyways in the end.
Right.
So he just that like I don't know if I would count that 100%.
Right.
You could maybe read it as I'm going to sacrifice myself, but it doesn't happen. So, yeah, I don't think he on our chart. I don't think he's going to be going
up
at all. Because Thor 2 is a very static movie. Unfortunate.
Yeah.
I guess that's it. Man. It's unfortunate that we're ending on this low note.
Went right through that one, but I mean, next is, what did we say was next?
I think it's Winter Soldier. Yeah. Next episode, Winter Soldier. We're going to see if Hannah, who is, Spider-Man / Natasha Romanoff, both kind of can talk to us for that movie. I think that's the only, I mean, my brother is kind of Bucky, but he's more Pietro, and I really want him to guest star on Age of Ultron, because I think he would have really funny shit to say.
Yeah, definitely.
So look forward to that in February. God, it's almost February. Can you believe that? My birthday is next week.
You're right.
Oh my God. I just realized.
It's very exciting.
If you guys are following us on Twitter or Facebook, I guess, anywhere, you should wish both me and Gabry happy birthday, because our birthdays are both in January, and we're a quarter of a century old now, which is amazing.
Heck yeah. What was our quarter life crisis? Starting this podcast. Do we regret it? Not at all.
Okay, guys. Thanks for listening. As always, we love you.
AvengeGirls out.